to take it?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, for sure. Because not only like, once, especially if you're interested in a career in law enforcement, or if you're in the criminal justice field, again, in general, that's very broad. And at some point in that job, you're going to have to talk to people. So if that's not your forte, but you're super interested in helping people, you're really interested in the law and justice community, then absolutely, that would help you, immeasurably. I think some of the biggest things that I see people, even if you get through the interview process in the police world and you get hired and all that stuff, you go to the academy, all that's very static. It's all very structured. There's not really a lot of room for you to just kind of freeball it. It's all there for you. But then when you get on the streets on FTO, which is really where you learn the bits and pieces of the job, and you have to actually go up and talk to somebody you've never met. You don't know what they're going to say, and your brain freezes because you're like, I don't know how to have a conversation right now, because that's a unique skill. Some people just straight up can't do that, and that's fine. But like you said, if you have the time and you have a free class and you just need an elective or two, public speaking and an English related class for report writing. Can't tell you how many people I've seen write just the worst reports ever, and I don't understand how they made it through college. Like, don't get me wrong, again, I am really not that smart. I'm lucky to be where I am GPA wise and whatnot. So if you can just have basic reading and writing skills, that would be great. And more so, talking to people is a little bit more important. But yeah, absolutely, that's a great idea to take a public speaking class, because that helps a lot of people get over their fears and kind of move past that barrier, because it does act as a barrier in this job if you can't talk to people. So no, I think that's an excellent idea.
Can I ask a question?
Absolutely. What's up?
So I have police in my family, but I've always wondered if you have tickets like from when you were younger, like a speeding ticket per se, does that ever come up in the oral board, or like within the process of getting the job? Like, do they bring up the older tickets that you've had?
Yeah, so generally, I think every state is different, but I think Washington State is your driving history goes back 7 years, if I remember correctly. So if you have speeding tickets, if you have collisions, things like that, not a huge deal, not a big deal. It's only a big deal if it's DUI related, or if it is like reckless driving, negligent driving, things like that. And even then, it's not deal breakers. They really just want to know. They just want you to disclose that. With speeding tickets though, and parking tickets and things like that, as long as there's not like a flagrant history of multiple, and when I say multiple, I mean a lot. If you've got 3 speeding tickets in the past 2 years, they don't care about that. It is what it is, right? I've been late to work, I don't know how many times. So, and again, with the collisions things, if you have like 7 at-fault collisions in the last 2 years, obviously they're going to want to know what's going on with that, because majority of my job is also driving, so they don't want to put somebody behind the wheel if they're going to be a liability, for other people and themselves as well. But if we're talking a few routine collisions, a few routine speeding tickets here and there, that is the farthest thing from their mind. I promise you, they don't care about that.
I also wanted to add the report writing with, I think his name was Professor Scott Willis, was really helpful as well. So
yeah, no, I haven't had him as an instructor, but I've seen him for a few of those other classes. Yeah, that goes a long ways, because if you're interested in a career in law enforcement, corrections, whatever, and you're going to be in a position where you have to write short reports, or I guess just detailed summaries of what it is you're doing with a client, if you're like a probation officer, things like that. That takes one of the big stressors off your plate when you go through like a probationary period. If you have just that basic skill set in your back pocket, then that just takes one more thing out of the equation that you have to think about, because there's always, when you're new, there's 5 million different things running through your head, and if you can just kind of isolate little things here and there and throw them out because you're already like confident in those and have that ability in your back pocket, then it just makes it that much easier to succeed. And I think the more practice you can get at anything that's going to be related to the job you want to get in, do it, hands down, do it, make the time for it. Anybody else? like I said, sometimes people don't have questions that they want to ask via the webcam or whatever. My info's in there if you ever want to shoot me an email or anything like that. Unfortunately, we're not doing ride-alongs right now because of COVID. So, but otherwise, once we eventually get around to not having to, social distance and whatnot, then anybody and everybody, we always recommend come on out, take a ride with us. You can see what it is we do on the day-to-day, and it's actually a lot of fun. You can do night shift, day shift, whatever you want. I work night shift, so if you want to be a vampire and stay up all night, you can come ride with me. But if you want to do day shift, that's fine too. We understand.
Dakota, thank you very, very much. I really appreciate you sharing this information with everyone. It really is helpful to hear from those that, well, other than just people trying to help along the way, career services, the professors, so it's nice to hear how it actually works in the real world, not in the, our academic world. Yes. Yeah.
I totally forgot earlier. You asked me the importance of why I wanted to continue doing my degree. I totally spaced on that question.
Right. Yes. Go ahead. Answer that one.
Real quick, guys. Obviously, you guys know we work in a competitive world. Jobs aren't just being handed out right now. And there's a lot of people, unfortunately, out there that don't have a job right now. And, I'm sure they have applicable skills to whatever workforce they want to be in. But for me personally, I work in a job where the requirement right now, education-wise, is a high school degree. I see that shifting, though, maybe in the future. I don't know about the immediate future, but I can see how that might shift at least towards a 2-year degree. There's a few departments in the state right now that already require a 2-year degree, Bellevue being one of them. And if you want to talk about an interview fail, that would be one of them. I went to the oral board and didn't read their job description all the way. And the receptionist who was scanning all my paperwork in said, "Okay, can I see your associate's degree?" And I was like, "What?" So anyway, make sure you read the job description all the way. But anyway, yeah, so in my department, a lot of promotional opportunities, a lot of career advancement opportunities are going towards the direction of those that have more higher education. And I think that higher education is definitely a great thing to achieve in law enforcement, because you get the opportunity to field so many different viewpoints, so many different experiences from other people, from professors, from field training experts, from subject matter experts in the field throughout the process. And if anything, it just enhances you as a person, not only as a student, but as a person. And I don't think I've ever heard anybody say, education is a bad thing. So that's always a good thing, to have more knowledge and just be more knowledgeable and be a sponge, in the sense that learn from people, learn from the people you want to learn from, and take knowledge from every bit of interaction that you take. So that's why I decided to keep pursuing my degree, just opening up more doors for myself, and just enhancing myself as an officer. I think I don't know. I think whatever you're doing in life, just try not to be stagnant. Try to always be bettering yourself, improving yourself. And education is one of those things that's definitely can enhance you in the law enforcement field. Always learning, always being adaptable. And that way you're not just around the same old grumpy people who are stuck in their ways, kind of thing, because that's easy to happen. I'm sure that's in any job, but that's easy to happen in law enforcement. So it's refreshing to be around other people who are also pursuing education and wanting to enhance themselves as well. So sorry, I forgot about that question earlier.
I have a question, Dakota.
Yeah.
I wondered what made you become interested in the field? Is it in the family? Is it somebody that was a mentor at one point in your life when you were young?
Well, so I don't have any cops in the family. I think one of the biggest things, I was prior military. I got out when I was 23, and I think everybody that gets out at a young age that kind of skipped the college process to join the military, they get out and they find themselves kind of soul searching in a way, and they're like, okay, what's my next chapter? What do I do now? And one of the things I really liked about the military was the service aspect of it. But I kind of wanted to do it at a lower, maybe community oriented level. And I had reached out to a couple of people that I remembered as officers when I was a kid. Like, I grew up in Tukwila, so I remember when I was like 9, 10, 11, there was these, we call them SROs, school resource officers. The SROs at the time still worked there, and so I had actually reached out to them, and I was like, hey, I'm thinking about becoming a police officer, and so yeah, it wasn't really family. I think it was previous experiences as a kid that I really liked, and I like that aspect of it. And then just, I don't know, it's really easy to become jaded in law enforcement because you get the individuals who you deal with maybe on a daily basis, but not every day, and they kind of, they're just abusing the system kind of thing, permanent problems. But then at least every shift I get to interact with one person who needed help, and they weren't going to get it from anywhere else unless they would have called 911. And that part of the job makes it 100 times worth it over all the other BS that we have to deal with 100 times over. It could be anything. It could be a domestic situation. It could be a stranded car. It could be somebody just needing transportation. It could a medical emergency. People don't think that cops do medical stuff. I think I've done CPR like at least 10 times now. We've saved at least 7 of them. So it's just that aspect of it. I'm sure you guys have done good deeds throughout your life, and I don't think anybody could sit here and tell me that a good deed doesn't give you this elated kind of joy that you don't get from anywhere else. And so that aspect of it is what keeps me going. I just every time I get to do something like that and help somebody out who's truly vulnerable and truly doesn't have any other options and needs help, and that makes it all worth it. And it doesn't really matter to me the rest of the aspects of the job. Like, everything else is worth it. So that's why I do it. Everybody's different, but it's cool to be able to do that at a young age too, and something that I know I can do for the next 25 years and be able to at least make, when I hang up the cleats and go to retirement, at least I can know I made a difference in somebody's life. So that aspect of it is priceless, I think. So that's why I do it.
Thank you.
Yep.
Otis,
So yeah.
have
What,
1 second to share that wonderful story that you shared last year about the person that you were either off duty or you had just come on duty going to this convenience store, and somebody walks up to you and says,
oh, yeah.
Share that good story.
Oh, I totally forgot about that. Yeah.
We hear so much about law enforcement, and let's hear a good story, right?
Yeah. So I totally forgot about that. Sorry, because they all like blend together sometimes. So I had just gotten on shift. I think I was on day shift at that time. Yeah, it was day shift at that time. So it was like 7 a.m., 7:30, and I was driving around some of our usual our problem spots, and I stopped by one of the 7-Elevens that's right next to that kind of area, and just walked in to buy something to drink. And I was talking to the clerk for, I don't know, 30 seconds, and walked outside, and there was a guy standing outside, and he was, pretty visibly homeless. He had some raggedy clothing on. It looks like he hadn't slept in like 2 days, that kind of thing. And I'd never seen him before. I recognize most of the homeless folks we have in Tukwila because they're kind of around the same general areas, but I didn't recognize him. And then he stopped me. He's like, "Hey, officer, do you have a second?" I was like, "Oh, what's up, man? What can I help you with?" And he was like, "Well, I've been having a real hard time lately. I'm recently homeless, and I'm just, I'm hooked on drugs, and I don't know what to do." And so, I was just kind of trying to figure out, like, okay, well, what can I do for this guy? Because, obviously we don't have access to, I don't have access to a lot of the things that people think we have access to. I can send somebody to the hospital if they want. And I can try and get them some shelter opportunities, things like that. But outside of that, I don't have access to a whole lot of immediate responses for people. So we just, I just heard him out. He just sounded like he just wanted somebody to vent to. And so he basically said he lost his house like a year prior, and lost his family for drug dependency. He got hooked on heroin. I I don't remember how exactly, but he got hooked on heroin at some point. And he, you know, he broke down during the thing. He's just, you know, crying and everything. And I was like, oh, dude. So I tried what I could do. So we have this thing called the, it's a program through King County. It's called the Mobile Crisis Team. And so they are a mobile team that will go around and offer services to individuals on the street who are, you know, vulnerable and things like that. A lot of times it's a shelter opportunity, and I know a lot of the folks in the homeless community don't like shelters because they don't feel safe. And a lot of the times the other people there, they feel like they're being judged by the employees that work there. And I've heard various different responses from folks in that program, but it is a good service for somebody who doesn't want to live on the streets anymore, and it's very temporary. They can get you into shelter, and once they get you into the shelter, they have employee services, they have drug rehab, they have a lot of those alcohol rehab, a lot of those things that they wouldn't be able to get on their own, and a lot of them are free through the county. And so it's actually a really cool program if somebody buys into it and wants to use the resource. So I told them, I was like, hey, I can call these folks for you. They can come get you a ride to the shelter, and they can get you started in some job programs and drug rehab and all that stuff. And it's a start. You know, I can't tell you that you won't be out here a week from now, but I can tell you that at least I can try and get you set off on the right foot. And he came around and he's like, okay, that's fine, you know, because I don't have anywhere else to go. It's either here underneath the bridge. So unfortunately, Mobile Crisis is the only resource for the county. So they generally have a long waiting list. So they were about 2 hours out. So I was just starting my shift, so we were kind of getting busy. So I said, hey man, this is my phone number, here's my card. They're going to come here to pick you up, so you got to stay in the area. And luckily it wasn't pouring down rain or anything that day, so that way they know where to find you. But if you ever have any questions or anything, just, you know, call me on my work cell. Here's my card. And, you know, exchange pleasantries, went about our way. You know, he said thanks and all that stuff, and, you know, it just seemed like a good interaction, but it wasn't anything, I didn't think it was anything out of the ordinary. But so I went about my day, and I think like 2 or 3 hours after that, I got a call from the records lady at the station, and she was like, hey, can you stop by the station whenever you're done with your call or whatever? I was like, oh, sure. And I stopped by, and she was like, hey, some guy brought this by, and it was like a sheet of paper with like this long note on it. And I was like, oh, what is this? And she's like, well, I don't know. Did you talk to some guy this morning? I was like, oh yeah. I think I talked to a guy for a couple minutes. Yeah. And she was like, well, yeah, he came by with Mobile Crisis before they went off to wherever. And yeah, he just wanted you to have this note. And basically, in short, it's basically like a thank you note. It was like, he was, I guess, summarizing, like, you know, I was going to off myself that morning. You know, I was picking a bridge in that area that I was gonna jump off of. He's like, my life sucks. No, I don't have a lot going for me, but he's like, you were the person that I needed to talk to, and I just needed somebody to hear me out and give me a chance and help me. So I was really taken aback by that, because I didn't expect anything out of that interaction in terms of, you know, I just thought he needed somebody to vent to. It's just another guy that I could, you know, try and help, I guess, but not a whole lot I could do for him. But it was definitely different. After reading that note, I didn't know that meant that much to him. So it was just, you know, it was really rewarding in the sense that I was able to help somebody in that day, you know, I don't know, make their day just a little better, and try to help them, and this, even in the slightest. And it's a teaching moment too, because then you can take those small interactions that you have with people, and not even as a cop, this is just as a human being, like, you can take these small interactions and, you know, put them in your life. You know, if you interact with anybody in your life, just, you know, being friendly and being genuine and being human to them, just taking a second to listen to somebody, you know, just let them vent to you about their problems. You never know, you might save somebody's life that way. And so I definitely took that, you know, forward with me to not, try to remember that sometimes those really small interactions are important ones, and they're important to somebody. Maybe not to you, but they're important to somebody. So, yeah, that's, I guess, the synopsis of the story there. But it's definitely a teaching moment for me, and definitely something that was rewarding too. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Thank you so much, Dakota.
Yeah.
It was really good to have you with us today. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So anyway, yep. So I'll see you guys later. Like I said, like she said, I'm a student here too. So you guys might, if we eventually ever get back to campus, you might see me if you're on the west side. And I think I'm in at least one or two of your guys' classes. Who knows? But yeah, my contact info is there. If you ever want to shoot me an email or shoot me a text, that's my work phone. More than happy to answer any questions offline. Some people don't want to ask them on the webcam. I totally get that. So if there's nothing else, I'm gonna head to work. So
have a safe evening, Dakota. Thank you
all right.
so much.
Thanks.
Take
Thanks,
care.
guys.
Bye-bye. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. So we have a little bit of time left that I want to talk about setting up your online portfolios and what is a portfolio, okay? And you have several people here that are going to talk a little bit about that and what it means, all right? So a portfolio is your materials that exemplify some of those same things that Dakota was just talking about, your beliefs, your skills, your qualifications, your education, your training, your volunteer work, writing samples, special clearances, certifications, degrees, all your experiences. Why should you have that portfolio ready? Well, if you have it ready to go, you'll be able to upload to whether that be your grad school applications, your law school applications, your United Nations portfolio, online portfolio, your USA jobs portfolio. Okay, if you have all this ready to go, it makes it easy to stand out, just like Dakota was talking about. Nowadays, you got to stand out a little bit more, and that standout from the very get-go is going to be that online portfolio that you have created about yourself, okay? So it's the process of putting that together to get ready for that interview, right? So my recommendations here, save everything that you create, right? Save a sample, your related job skills, your experiences, all of those things listed above, save it. You should also have a professional mission statement, and I'm going to give you a little quick overview of that before Meredy connects with us, okay? That is a brief description of your beliefs about yourself in the industry. Should have your career goals, your resume, your skills statement. We're gonna, this session, we're gonna talk a lot about knowledge, skills, and ability statements, okay? And how you take those KSAs and move those into a cover letter, okay? Your letters of recommendation, okay? You need those as well, but those need to be tied to specific job descriptions or specificity of a law school that you're attending, or a master's program that you're attending, or which scholarship. You just don't want a blank letter of recommendation, because you want your letters to be that of speaking to that skill set that is needed for whatever that is, if it's grad school, if it's law school, if it's a scholarship, if it's a job, if it's an internship, okay? So save your work in progress, save your papers that you're proud of while you're on your academic journey, save your certifications, your diplomas, your degrees, your awards, community service and volunteer work. You should have your professional memberships and certifications ready to go. You should also understand what your academic plan is and how that is helping you towards that goal of a job or law school or master's program or an internship, okay? At least 3 to 5 references who can verify that professional experience that you have. Now remember, if you attended the federal jobs panel, professional work experience is not just that of working or volunteering or internship, right? Most federal jobs and state jobs and county jobs will give credit for your academic work. So it counts as experience, all right? So there's several that we're going to talk about today that I'm going to list at the end of the PowerPoint that are very important for your online portfolio. So your profiles, listen, about 80 to 90%, your names are getting Googled too. Okay, so clean up social media, clean things up before you seek a job, okay? That's pretty high, so beware. So you can create that online portfolio by following these steps that Meredy and I lay out for you over the 12th and the 26th. And there's an alumna here today that will talk to you a little bit about her experience. And we have 2 other students that are going to also show you, they've been through this process, okay? So 8 tips. Have your, oops, I only put 6 in there, sorry about that. Have your professional mission statement. I'm gonna give you an example of that. Have that ready so you can copy and paste at the United Nations or USA Jobs or lsac.org. Be ready. For those that are seeking law school, that lsac.org, everything is done there. And the same thing in grad school, and same thing on your scholarship online presence. Listen, if you don't have this stuff ready, then you shouldn't be on there getting letters of recommendation. You shouldn't be on there without a resume. You shouldn't be on there. So one of the things that law schools, there were about 300 to 400 law schools. I attended 2 sessions last quarter. The number one thing that they said is to have this stuff ready. Know why you want to go to law school. Just like Dakota was saying, know why you want to be a law enforcement officer, because you're gonna be asked, okay? So have it ready before you begin. And Sydney, I wanted you to, if you would like, let me get out of sharing here. Sydney, if you would like, could you, for those that are going to law school, could you talk a little bit about what it's like there on that lsac.org for me?
Okay, yes. So just something I would say that I'm kind of learning my lesson now on is definitely probably go ahead and get an account early on, even if you're just thinking about it, because it doesn't hurt to have access to this stuff even before you really need to start using it. Just because I know I've been using mine for about 7 months now, like on and off, it's where I schedule my tests. I can go and make sure my transcripts are there. I just had to go request one today because I didn't see it. And your CAS is on there, which is basically the tool that you're going to use to apply for every single law school. Like every law school uses it, so that's something that you're going to need to use. And it's also on LSAC. So it's basically like your hub for everything law school. And it's really nice to have everything like centralized, and it's actually pretty straightforward. It's where you can also schedule your LSAT. That's also pretty straightforward. It's really nice. You upload a professional picture, then you get to pick a day, you pay for it, and it gives you a rundown of everything that you need. So all the instructions on LSAC are really user friendly. It's nice. Right now it's all online. So you get to take all those lovely tests at home, which I personally like. I don't know if anyone else would like that, but yeah, no, it's nice. I mean, I like not being able to jump around from different site to different site, having to go to like the school's homepage and applying there, or using a different website to apply for law schools. Like everything is just centralized. And I was actually on the phone with someone today because I had a question about applying to a certain law school. I had a question if I could also apply for like the early one as well as the regular one, and they're all super helpful. They answered the phone and they're like, oh yeah, what's your member ID, blah 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 blah, what can we help you with today? So no like answering machines or robots talking to you, so they're also there to help, which is also really nice. So I like it.
Thank you, Sydney. And we have Meredy and Steve, and I think we're ready to go. So let's rock it. We just had great conversation, Meredy and Steve, with law enforcement officer. It was really nice. So yeah, here we go.
Great. Well, welcome to the workshop, although you're already here. So I did get to hear part of Dakota's, super engaging, really great, great to hear. So I'm not as familiar with the agenda, but I can post what Christine sent me. Would you like me to do that, or should I just do an introduction to myself and a little bit about career services?
That would be great. Yes.
Okay, awesome. Okay, all right. So hi, my name is Verity. I work for Career Services. And I know some of you, Christine and I'm fortunate of being able to collaborate with her on a lot of projects. So if you were here last year, you might have attended the FBI panel or something like that that we collaborated on. But what I want to tell you about is that we are here for you. It's never been easier to make an appointment. And basically, we help you with anything career related. We don't help you do the academic advising of picking out your classes, but we can help you figure out how your classes relate to, the job world, the career world. We can talk to you about how to market your courses. I was just working with an LAJ person yesterday, and we were working on how to write down some of the academic projects she had done on her resume. So I want to tell you how to connect with us. And even if you don't know specific links or anything, basically, if you Google CWU Career Services, it'll take you to the page you need to go. That's all you have to remember, CWU Career Services, and it'll take you to the page where you need. And I'm going to share screens and just kind of show you how to book appointments. Okay. Okay, I assume everybody can see the Career Services page. When you Google CW Career Services, it'll take you to this homepage. And right down here, we have a book appointments online. And then it'll take you to a selection of fabulous career counselors that can help you. And I think probably some of you are from the Ellensburg campus also, right? Like I think all campuses are present today. And so some of you might have worked with Chuck Zimchek, and he is your career counselor for the general Ellensburg campus. So Steve and I'm gonna also introduce Steve in a minute, and Steve and I serve the West Side campuses. So I generally belong to Linwood and Steve belongs to Des Moines, but we also serve online, which is pretty much all of you right now. So if you don't know who to go to, just hit one of these links, book an appointment. I know some students are just like, I just wanted to find a convenient time. So, they just went through, and that's great. We're just so happy to help you, to see you. We really don't care how you get there or which counselor you see. We're just here for you. So just want to let you know that. And then if you go into this, it gives you all the different appointment times and you get to choose and you book an appointment and then we get to have a Zoom session together. Yay. Okay. So, Steve, so I'm just going to quick introduction to you, the Des Moines counselor. So you can say hi.
Thank you, Merity. I'm Steve Lang. I am the Assistant Director of Career Services, and I serve the Des Moines campus and Pierce County. And like Merity said, online students kind of south of Seattle and west of the mountains. So couple things. Yeah, I work with the Des Moines students. I've worked with the LJ students, and I've worked with Christine, and it's been somewhat of a challenge remotely, but it's getting easier all the time. And I've actually had more access to a lot of the students because I'm more accessible. They don't have to come to campus to see me. So, and as online students, it makes it much easier to access. So a couple of things I just wanted to point out is that Merity has showed you how to connect with us. But I also want to mention something that our website is in the process of being revised. And so I want to just kind of forewarn you that we're not sure when it's going to be updated. So if you encounter any problems linking there, then feel free to email us or email career services and we'll get in touch with you. So that's just what I just showed up today to be available to answer questions and support Merity. So Merity, I'll let you take back over and, run the show.
Okay, thanks, Steve. Appreciate it. Okay, so I think I am going to cover letters at 4:30, but I think next up is Lena. Is that correct?
That is correct, Verity.
Can you guys see me and hear me?
Hi, good afternoon, Lena. Yes.
Hi,
please.
good afternoon.
And please go ahead and introduce yourself if you would, Lena, and say who you are.
Okay, so I'm Lena Mindorf. I'm a prior student at Central. I graduated in August with my bachelor's in law and justice and a minor in cybersecurity. And I'm kind of here to talk about the KSA process and applying for jobs with the federal government. It was always my dream to work with the FBI. However, that's kind of been on hold because I just had another baby unexpectedly. So that process is on hold for me. But yeah, I'm just kind of here to talk about the KSA process and what federal government jobs are looking for. You'll hear about KSAs a lot. All federal government jobs talk about them. And if you haven't heard about them, they're knowledge, skills, and abilities. It's basically what federal government jobs want you to list. These KSAs kind of set you apart from other candidates that may be applying for positions with the government. So kind of first up, what you're going to want to do is like read over the KSAs closely, brainstorm like your past experiences as far as work, and don't just look at work. You're going to want to look at your school experiences. What else was I going to say? School experiences, any past experiences that you have. Volunteer work. So if you do like any internships, you're going to want to kind of look at the KSAs and their priorities and see what kind of may align that you've had experience doing. So since mine was the FBI, I kind of have a list here to talk about what they look for and their priorities and their candidate skills that they look for. So they're looking for like strong analytical skills, like your thinking abilities, excellent written and oral communication, flexibility and adaptability, which I saw that the prior law enforcement officer, I saw he talked about that, is you're going to want to be able to, know how to adapt and whatnot. Just being self-motivated and taking initiative. Those are kind of their core competencies that they have. Now with this process, and I know Christine will probably walk you through it. She's so good at that. So you're going to want to take those KSAs that you've identified with the federal government that you're looking to apply for, and you're going to want to put those into categories like people skills, leadership skills, technical skills, flexibility skills. There's one more, problem solving skills. So like for me, for one of my leadership skills, I put that I trained interns. I did an internship with the Pierce County Department of Assigned Counsel, doing an investigative intern. And there I trained interns. And I also led online research methods discussion boards at school. So that kind of shows, that it's not just work related, it's also volunteer or internship experience related or school related. And so all of these KSAs that you identify will also help you create your objective statement, which is a part of your resume, and that states like your career goals and outlines your best skills. So knowing these KSAs are very important in the process of applying for a position with the federal government, creating your cover letter, your resume, and all that. So yeah.
Lena, thank you. Can you talk about real quickly, and I know you got to get back to the new little one added to your family. So Lena, can you talk about the process? Is this something we can do like in about 3 minutes?
Absolutely not. So the process is very long. And I want to say I probably worked on it for the last 6 months at least before I graduated. Because, you know, you think of things as you go. You're not just going to be able to come up with everything that, you know, you've experienced in the past and how you can tie those in. It's a very long process and a very thorough process, because you don't want to skip anything. You want to have, you know, the best resume, the best cover letter, the best objective statement, because applying for a job with the federal government is something that's huge. So I think it's important to just slowly kind of make a little spreadsheet, and list the different core competencies. And, you know, if you feel like you've done something in school or at work, your current position, list it, you know, and have an outline of, you know, the different KSAs, and just start making little notes of what you've done, what you've accomplished. So that way, when it comes time to write everything, you know, you have stuff to look back on, to tie into that. So yeah, it's a very long process. So start now.
And with having all of that together, like I was just talking about, Lena, would you say that it made it easier to do that once you get to that USA Jobs or the FBI's website and trying to apply, right? You can't do it without having that stuff.
That's right.
In front of you. Yeah,
absolutely.
Right.
Because they're going to ask you when you get to the application process, and that way you can just, like you mentioned earlier, the resume, copy and paste. You already have everything edited and gone over with, you know, Christine and Career Services to make sure that everything looks good. So yeah, it definitely makes the process a lot easier. Any questions or anything else that you have?
I would say, Lena, and we have somebody at 5:30 talking about how they did the FBI and landed an internship at the Washington State Legislature. Yeah, so isn't that great, right? So if you start with that FBI, you're going to be able to do a county job, you're going to be able to do a state job, you're going to be able to do your scholarship, you're going to be able to do your online profile for master's or law school. You'll be able to get it done.
Absolutely.
Right. And like Sydney was sharing, and what the law schools shared, have that ready. Don't do like Dakota did, like you said, walk in there and pretend like you're not ready, and that's a little embarrassing, right?
Of course, yeah.
It is a long process. And Lena, what was my number one thing that I kept saying while you were going through that 6-month process?
You know what's funny is I've been thinking about that all day, and I can't remember what it was, the statement you made.
Trust in the process.
Trust in the process. Yes, that's what it was.
Trust in the process.
Yeah,
Because
trust the process.
Right? If you don't trust in the process and you don't take these steps that Meredith and Lena and Dakota and all of us are trying to share with you here with this, and Steve and many of us here, Veronica, and Isaiah later, right? If you don't trust in the process, you're probably going to quit because it's hard. Yeah.
And it's very overwhelming.
Yeah.
You know, so do a little bit here and there. That's the best advice I can give, is trust in the process and show grace to yourself and work on it every day or every week, you know. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Lena. It's
Of
lovely.
course.
It's lovely to see you too. It's
You too. Thanks for all your help. You're just great.
Well, thank you, Lena.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right. So I am going to share my screen with you, and we're going to talk about that process, right? We're going to talk about, oopsie, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to stop that. We're going to look at how, when I'm sharing screens, it's very difficult to maneuver some of this stuff around, and then I accidentally disconnect you. So we're going to talk about some of the stuff that Lena was just talking about. All right. And we're going to start from the very beginning. And this, if you have your knowledge, skills, and abilities statement, you're going to be able to, and Meredith will talk with you a little bit at 4:30 about this, how you take these knowledge, skills, and abilities and you write this cover letter. It will help you write your resume. It will help you with those online profiles that you have to have for grad school, for scholarship, for internship, for jobs. Because remember, that's how you're screened now. 80 to 90%, once you fill out that online portfolio, your name is getting Googled. Okay, so have a look at your own name, if you will. So what are KSAs? Lena touched on this a little bit. Knowledge, skills, and abilities. You'll hear this. King County uses PARS, and I'm going to give you an example of PARS too, but every federal agency uses knowledge, skills, and abilities. So you must know this. You must know that there is no federal job that doesn't ask you to have these KSAs ready, okay? And it's used differently, like state of Washington, sometimes, I can't remember, they call it, I can't read, they have an acronym too. Every government agency has an acronym, but no, KSA, knowledge, skills, and abilities. They're your core competencies. They're the attributes required to perform the job that you're applying for and are generally demonstrated through qualifying experience, right? Education, training, federal government, state governments, county governments, some local municipalities. They give you credit for your academic experience, okay? So you can count that, okay? Knowledge is a body of information applied directly to the performance of the function. It is the skill that is observable. It's your competency to perform that learned job, or if it's grad school, what are you going to get out of it? If it's law school, why are you selecting that law school? Maybe that law school is specialized in environmental law, right? And you have a thing, you would like to be a lawyer about environmental or economic justice. So understand what you're doing and why you're applying. The law school forums that I attended here recently, they want to hear from you. So when you go through that interview, or if you are maybe not interview, but you're writing your letter of intent, so I think somebody needs to be muted. Sorry about that. Your letter of intent should state, so don't think of it just as knowledge, skills, and abilities for the FBI, right? This is for everything. What is your intent? What are those actionable skills? What are those observable competencies that you have? The ability is competence to perform that observable behavior, that result in what is the product, right? Okay, so KSAs, AKA core competencies, okay? So I want to talk about skills. What is a skill, right? So Steve last year provided me, oh, I do have it still, provided me something that I have used over and over and over. 2019, the National Association of Colleges and Employers Job Outlook study. It's attributes employers are seeking on a candidate's resume, right? So I'm going to talk about some of those skills and what those different skills are. But here, 82% would like some communication skills. You heard that from Tequila as well. Ability to work in a team, 78%. Initiative, 74%. Analytical, quantitative, work ethic, right? So this is, you heard this from Tequila, now you've heard it from Lena, and it doesn't matter whether this is for the FBI, or if this is for a state, or if this is for a scholarship, or if this is for an internship, right? You want to show those skills. So the cognitive process, that is attention, perception, memory, language, learning, executive function, and higher reasoning, okay? So those skills are sustained attention, response inhibition, speed, cognitive flexibility and control, working memory, category function, pattern recognition. This kind of stuff is very important for all these jobs that you will be applying for. And you will see them written in very different ways, okay? So be aware of what those are. Know yourself, understand, like pattern recognition is super important on that public service profile, that your public service exams. Pattern recognition is a cognitive skill on that public service exam that you all will take, okay? Well, if you're going to apply for law enforcement. All right, so here's an example that I want to talk about when we're developing that KSA example. We'll get to the FBI because that is very, very, very involved. King County is a little bit different. King County calls it PARS, okay? And I'm going to share with you. So you see this word here again, knowledge, skills, and abilities. Okay. This is what this King County is looking for when you look at King County Juvenile Detention Officer, right? So when you're looking at this, you would say, all right, number one, using appropriate physical defensive interventions, restraint techniques to subdue and restrain juveniles as necessary and in accordance with local, state, and federal law. So what I do, and I'm going to stop sharing for a second so I can talk with you here and I can actually see you. What I do, or what I recommend when you're going through that knowledge, skills, and abilities, if you have it, then you put a 1. If it's academic experience, then you put a 2. If you don't have it, then you put a 3. Okay, because we're going to acknowledge that you hope to learn how to, well, if that's number 1, maybe we don't hope to learn, but restraining juveniles. Let's say you don't have that, okay, but you still think that you can meet a majority of those qualifications, right? You're going to have to, at some point in time, acknowledge that you don't have that skill, okay? So you want to go through it, and there's a way that you can do this either orally or in your written materials that you submit for a job, okay? So do it 1, 2, and 3. 1, I have it. 2, it's academic experience. 3, I don't have it, okay? All right, so getting noticed in King County. King County refers to KSAs as PARs. I have a handout that I will send to all of you, but here's how they do this. During the application process, interview, supplemental questionnaire, and resume, you should tailor your KSA/your PSRs in the following way for King County. A problem, a description of the problem or challenge you faced, your actionable steps, and your results, all right? In many of the supplemental questionnaires in King County, this is how it's laid out. If you don't have your knowledge, skills, and abilities statement and your mission statement and your professional portfolio, you will never be able to answer that supplemental questionnaire. And it pops up and you don't know it's coming. You're right in the middle of it and you're thinking you're almost done, and you're not. Up pops that supplemental questionnaire and here you go. You got to be able to answer these, okay? I'm moving you out of the way here. Looks like my computer is stuck because I'm sharing here. Hold on. Sorry about that, everyone. Okay. All right. And we're back. Okay, so this is an example, all right? Problem. Companies spent a lot of money annually on outside vendors who would provide basic PC skills training curriculum to employees. That's the problem. What is your area of responsibility? How can you answer this? Your action. You took an action step. That's your skill, right? This is how you dealt with that problem, right? What was the results? How did that come out? Collapse for the resume. Okay, so the problem. Companies spent a lot of money annually on outside vendors who would provide basic PC skills training curriculum to employees. All right, so what action did you take? Designed from concept to completion, a comprehensive basic computer skills training curriculum. Now, how would you have that? How could you answer that right in the middle of an application? Well, because you already have that as a knowledge, skill, and ability. You've already identified that as you have computer skills. You did a comprehensive basic curriculum. That was something that you did, right? Results. Company now has basic computer skills training courses that are tailored. All right, so to collapse that on your resume, save the company 35 to 50,000 or 50% in training costs by designing and delivering from concept to completion a comprehensive, low-cost computer skills training that could be delivered in-house to improve basic PC competency skills of employees, right? That's how you would collapse it, okay? All right, so we talked about USA jobs. USA jobs is where all federal jobs are listed. That's where FBI is listed. I have in this PowerPoint, which we can send out to everybody that attended today, help on how to set up your account profile and how to make yourself searchable, right? So please don't go pop on today and start your profile, because you're going to have to save. You want to be able to take these steps that Meredy and I try to help you through first, okay? All right, please don't go creating profiles because you won't be able to complete it. Especially like Lena was saying, you get in the middle of something and if you don't have it written and prepared, it's not going to be ready. So I will give you these websites, but these helpful how to set up it's really useful, and I encourage you to read this stuff because it will only help you with landing that federal job if you're looking at a federal job. Okay, I want to talk about the process of how to write that KSA or objective statement. Okay. All right, so we're going to use the FBI internship as an example, okay? All right, so the first step you do is read through the major functions. What are the functions? What are the knowledge, skills, and abilities that they're asking for? What are the functions of the FBI? What are the functions of that law school? What do they do? What do they specialize in? What is that scholarship you're looking for? What is that job description layout that you're doing? Okay, so place a 1 by a relevant or a volunteer work experience, 2 being academic, 3 you hope to gain. Okay. And using the FBI, it's quite easy because in this internship, at the very end of your cover letter, you can say something. And if Lena is still here, I'd love for her to share how we word finesse that at the very bottom. It was also successful for somebody who did land an internship with the FBI. Went through with the process. I'm quite sure Lena would have too. But at the very end, Lena, how did we end your cover letter by saying something, we hope to gain that experience, right? We knew what those 3s were, right, Lena? But what did we do to highlight that we acknowledged that you didn't have that? Lena? She might not be able to answer. All right. So she might be with the little one. And that's okay. I'll back her up. All right. So what we did is we took all of her threes and we wrapped it up at the very bottom. And I think it was the second to last sentence. We acknowledged that she didn't have them by highlighting some of those knowledge, skills, and abilities that they were asking for in the internship. And we said that we look forward to the opportunity because in paragraphs 1, 2, and 3, we've already highlighted all those skills that she did have, those 1s and 2s. Okay. And the second to last sentence, we said, we look forward to speaking with you. She looks forward to, Lena looks forward to speaking further about learning such and such and such while internship at the FBI. Okay. So she wrapped it up. She did acknowledge that she didn't have it. So she's not saying something that she does or does not have. You know, she just said, I don't have that skill. Okay. So the major functions of the FBI are, and I'm not going to read all of these. I have underlined those that are important for the major functions of the FBI. Conduct professional investigations. 2, counterintelligence, activities of other agencies in the Intelligence Committee, investigating criminal acts and cyber attacks, violation of laws of the United States and collect evidence in cases in which United States is or may be a party of interest in, federal statutes, conduct a professional investigation to identify, disrupt, and dismantle existing and emerging criminal enterprises whose activities affect the United States. Gather, analyze, and assess information and intelligence of planned or committed criminal acts. Quality outreach programs. Conduct research to provide assistance to state and local law enforcement. Develop new approaches, timely and relevant criminal justice information, expert testimony in federal local courts, compliance with laws, rules, and regulations, and to assure efficiency and effectiveness, appropriately communicate. Okay, so those are the major functions of the FBI. And you'll notice that we just underlined those that are going to be number 1s and number 2s, because we're going to acknowledge that a person has maybe some experience either academically or volunteer work or at a job in investigating criminal activity. Quality outreach. We're going to acknowledge that that is a skill that this person has. Okay, so everything underlined here are those 1s and those 2s that we're going to put in the knowledge, skills, and abilities statement. All right, so step number 1, you want to read that mission. You heard that from Dakota as well. Read the mission. If this is for an internship, it's no different. Read the mission of the organization. If this is for law school applications, read the mission of the school or that law school that you're looking at. If this is for a master's program, read the program's mission. Understand the mission statement for anything. If you don't understand the mission statement, go back and see how that relates to those knowledge, skills, and abilities, because I guarantee you it will. All right, so the mission of the FBI, I'm not going to read it for full time's sake here, but this is their actual mission statement. Right, so what do you do once you've done your 1s, 2s, and 3s and with that mission statement? The second step is you should summarize your skills as it relates to those candidate skills that are listed that you've already identified. Relate the same sentence and 1 or 2 important words from your rewritten mission statement. You need to rewrite that mission statement, and that is very important for the FBI. Okay. Because the FBI is mission driven. Okay. they believe in that mission. And if you don't believe in that mission, you're probably not going to get hired, right? Same, you heard from Tequila. If you don't believe in that mission, you probably shouldn't be applying there, okay? If you don't believe in that mission's law school, then you probably shouldn't go there, okay? All right. So understand that mission statement because it's everything. In other words, use transition sentence to incorporate that. So you want to rewrite that mission statement and you want to put some of those skills in there. Lena? She's not here. She's not here, but that's okay. Does everyone, I'm going to stop sharing for a quick second. I want to just take a quick pause. And if you could give me a thumbs up, is this making sense to you all so far?
I got it.
Okay, thank you, Donna. Okay, good. All right. It looks like we're good. Okay, all right. Go back to sharing. All right, so next step then, after you've rewritten that mission statement and you've gone through your 1, 2s, and 3s. This is an FBI one, all right? While applicants come from a wide range of academic backgrounds, the most competitive applicants also possess the following: strong analytical thinking skills, flexibility, adaptability, take initiative, be self-motivated, work well with others, interpersonal ability, good judgment, decision-making, excellent written and oral communication skills, strong interpersonal skills. Those are those skills that you must demonstrate. Those are those some of those cognitive skills that I talked about. Those are the ones that they're looking for. Those are your 1s and your 2s, okay? So step 3 then, take your 1s and your 2s from your job description or from your PARs or just a qualification statement, okay? Do this by breaking them down into 1, people skills, right? So we know that this person who went through this has a 6 and a 7. I think I might have a question here. Does someone have a question? Meredy, what does the chat say there?
The people were responding to your prior question when you said, does everybody understand it? Then yeah, then there's a lot of yeses posted.
Okay, so all yeses, Meredy, but no no.
All yeses.
Okay, so that's an awesome thing. Thank you so much. So you want to start with those people skills, right? And so we are taking number 6 and a 7 above. So excellent written and oral communication skills and strong interpersonal skills, okay? And that is going to be your third sentence, I'm sorry. So you've rewritten the mission statement, you've acknowledged the mission statement, you have wrapped up some of those priorities that the FBI has identified or whatever it is, maybe that's objectives that a school, a grad school is searching or a law school. The objective of or our purpose is to do X, Y, and Z, right? So priorities. So you then will take and wrap up 6 and 7 and say how you have that skill. And remember, you must identify it. It must be quantifiable, right? You can't just say, well, I have excellent written and oral communication skills. Okay, well, how? Okay, it has to be quantifiable, okay? Sentence number 4 then. So priorities 1 and 2, we're going to take those priorities up above those 1 and 2. I know it's hard, but I'm going to send this to you and it'll make sense when you go through it, either with your career counselor or one of your faculty or myself or somebody, okay? That it'll make sense, okay? Priorities 1 and 2 and numbers 5 and 2 above, right? So we're going to take good judgment, flexibility and adaptability, we're going to combine it with, I forgot the numbers, I'm sorry, priorities 1 and 2. So we're going to combine it with conduct professional investigations and activities of other agencies of intelligence agencies. So we're taking 2 priorities and we're taking 2 skills and we're going to make it quantifiable for you. Okay, that's going to be sentence number 4 in your knowledge, skills, and abilities statement. Okay. Then we're going to go technical skills. We're going to take 1 and 3 above from the FBI priorities and sentence number 5, good judgment and decision making. We're going to make that quantifiable for you. Okay. That's going to be sentence number 4 in your knowledge, skills, and ability statement. Okay, if you're using the FBI as an example, right? But you'll have this in any other job description, just like I said, that this process works for any job or scholarship or master's or anything else. You have to write those letters of intent. You have to write, so you got to justify, make yourself quantifiable. Okay. So let's see. Sentence number 5 is going to be 1 and 3 from the FBI priorities and your initiative and analytical thinking, let's say. All right. So that's going to be your technical skills. Sentence number 5, flexibility skills. Okay. Refers to the ability to adjust to diverse situations and environments. Okay. So we're going to take candidate skill number 4 out of the FBI priorities and qualification for job number 6. And we're going to make that quantifiable for you. Number 5, that's going to be sentence number 6. Number 5 is going to be sentence number 7. It's problem solving skills, right? We're going to take, provide 1 sentence where you've used your problem solving skills with any remaining FBI priorities that you haven't mentioned in sentences 1 through 6. And that's going to be sentence number 7. All right. Step number 4, you're going to end your paragraph with writing a similar sentence. You look forward to expanding your skills during your FBI internship and beyond. Should include words similar to mutually beneficial to the FBI and yourself, right? You heard that from Dakota too. Should be mutually beneficial, right? You're the one seeking a job. They might need you, but it's got to be mutually beneficial and quantifiable, okay? So please note the above process, it's an 8-sentence paragraph, right? And should be no more. In fact, that's what the FBI looks for, right? It should be 8 sentences. It's got to be that succinctly written. Also, it's laid out in these YouTube videos that I'm going to give you all for review. And I can always answer questions about it, as well as your career counselor or any of us here at CWU, your faculty. We can guide you and help you through this, okay? Last but not least, I wanted to, before we switch it over to Meredy here, I wanted to, I'm going to come back to you, and I want to ask, did that process make sense? Ask me questions while I'm getting the other document up to share with you. Do you have questions so far? Hearing none. No questions? Vicki, does it make sense? You're on mute.
It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot to retain, but you know, that's just the way it is. If you want to get hired by a federal government, you've got to do it.
Yeah.
All there is to it.
Thank you, Vicki. You just happened to be, you just on the screen, you just happened to be to the left. So I just picked you. Thank you.
Thanks.
So I want to get to my other document here, and I want to show you how to begin from the very get-go to develop your own personal thought and your own professional mission statement, okay? How do you start? Okay, you heard this from Dakota this afternoon, right? You better know yourself first, okay? All right, so personal value statement. Think about, go back to that job description. Look at some of those key words. Are you reliable? Are you determined? Right? Look at some of those key job descriptors, those KSAs that they're looking for, those qualifications. All right, so independent. So have this. I've learned how to be independent, striving to improve myself and not easily influenced by others. Achievement. I work hard to achieve my goals. Determination. I stay committed and work hard to complete something, whether it's academic study, work environment, or personal life. Responsibility. Others can rely and depend on me. Justice. I hold compassion for those who are treated unjustly and unfairly. Integrity. My moral values are essential for me to keep. For example, I need to be honest with others and vice versa. I'm reliable. Being reliable motivates me. Other people trust in me because I'm reliable. So you pick those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 key things about your personal values. Identify 7 personal values you hold. Right? You shouldn't be going to apply for Tequila if you don't like their mission, right? So you're going to see some of these words in the Tequila Police Department's mission statement, or the FBI, or the school that you're applying to, or for the scholarship. Okay, so your professional mission statement then. And looking at a job description. So this is developed from an actual job description. This is an actual student developing their own professional mission statement that they would like to carry through all jobs that they apply for, based on their looking through some of the jobs that they've already searched. They know those qualifications, they know those skills and ability. They're aware and they know that mission. All right. So the professional mission statement. I will make, challenge, and change policy for domestic violence survivors and perpetrators where there are barriers to preserve their right to victim advocacy and to engage in life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Right? So somewhere, we all know what this means. This is Constitution. Right? This is the United States Constitution. Somewhere in that job description that this person was applying for mentioned hold value in the United States Constitution. Right? And this person related it to victim advocacy work and how this person is going to carry out their own professional mission based on victim advocacy. So you can see that that was a victim advocacy job. And I don't know where it was from, but that is how you begin. So you begin with those 7 personal values, okay? And write about it and understand it. Then develop your own professional mission. Look at those knowledge, skills, and abilities and qualifications. You've gathered everything up. You've begun to develop your portfolio. So then the next step in the process is to write that knowledge, skills, and abilities statement that we just listed, okay? 8 sentences. don't want to go over. It's easy to go over. We did this with the FBI with a couple of students, just finished up. And it's easy to try to roll over that 8 sentences. It gets too long. So you want your personal knowledge, skills, and ability statement to be 8 sentences related to priorities, knowledge, skills, and abilities, and a mission statement, okay? Meredy, I finished up like 4 minutes early.
I'm super impressed. That is a lot of material to cover. As very efficient. I'm going to talk about cover letters, but my approach is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to go over some pretty basic information, and some of you might know this, some of you might not. My hope is sometimes even when we know how to write something, we maybe haven't thought about the subtleties of it. So I'm going to talk about some basic structures of cover letters and answer any questions that you might have. And I have a PowerPoint for it. So let me get that up.
Your PowerPoint looks so much prettier than mine, Meredy.
You haven't seen the rest of it yet. So, okay. You can see the PowerPoint? It's up? Okay, great.
We can, thank
you. Also, my email's down here too, and I will send this to Christine to post for people maybe so that they can have a copy of it. Does that sound right? When you maybe send out the other PowerPoint that you have, that's great. Okay, so I'll send it to her to send out to you all. But and also kind of want to reiterate, I think Steve touched on this, but if you can't get appointment times, you can always email too. So for example, you're looking and saying, it's been really hard to get in, email us, or the day of, sometimes the appointments close up. You can always say, it's emergency, I have an interview tomorrow. Can you talk to me? So here's my email for that. Okay, so I'm gonna talk about the structure of a cover letter. A cover letter is basically your letter of introduction. You are introducing yourself to the employer. So you're addressing specific qualifications and skills in the job announcement. So you basically use the job announcement as your guide for a cover letter. At this point, people always ask me, you mean you have to write a new cover letter for every job? And I was like, yes. I know it sounds terrible, right? It sounds like so much work, especially when you're looking like, well, I'm going to apply for like 15 or 20 jobs. What I will say to this is save every cover letter you write, because what happens is the same qualifications will keep coming up. An example of this, in my last job search, okay, career services, we have to have rock star cover letters, right? I mean, who is going to hire a counselor that doesn't know how to write a cover letter? So, I spent an hour and a half to a couple hours on each cover letter, but by the end, it was taking me like maybe 15 minutes because I'd gone through the process with several of my employers of meeting certain qualifications. So a lot of times you can pull those paragraphs out and sort of and connect them and make a great letter out of it. Okay. It's also a sample of your writing skills. So please, please, please get somebody to edit it. I'm happy to edit your cover letters at any point, to look at them and give you my feedback on them, and etc. So, but get somebody to edit it for sure. And the next is your window to your personality. This surprises people sometimes. Okay, a resume can be sort of the cold, hard facts. And it's really hard to convey the type of person you are, the enthusiasm you have for a job. But if a cover letter well written, you kind of get a sample of that. It makes employers basically want to meet you. So a cover letter can either be a letter of application, that means there's a job that you're applying for, it's already open, or a letter of inquiry. And a letter of inquiry is you are introducing yourself to an employer. So it might be there's not something open right now. And this happens in business a lot. I have had friends who've had positions made for them. There was no position that existed. And they sent a cover letter, they introduced themselves to an employer, and employer's like, I need this person's talent. So there's particular organizations you're interested in, doesn't hurt to send them out, and then they might keep it. And maybe they keep it for a year, but maybe a year later they pull it out and they're like, ooh, I remember this person. You know, this has great qualifications for the job that we're looking for right now. Okay, so I'm talking about the structure of a cover letter. Okay, opening paragraph. You need to catch the employer's attention and state what position you're applying for and why. So it basically answers the question, why do you want to work there? And that is so important because anytime you're writing a letter, you should tell somebody why you're writing it, right? Anytime you write an email, you need to let them know why you're writing it. So think about what are you excited about? And it might be that, like, you know, you're excited about the company, or maybe you're excited more about the position. Well, that's what you want to write about. Whatever you have enthusiasm for, that's what you want to focus on in that letter. It can also state your career objective. Might be, you know, what you hope to, you know, work into in that organization. You know, what are your goals? It might cover that. And then it's just going to introduce just a tiny taste of your relevant training and experience. Okay, we're not going to go into too much detail yet, right? This is just our lead in. And we need it to be exciting and engaging and eye-catching. So yeah, don't want to go into too much detail yet. Okay, now we want to go into detail, right? We've given a little taste of what you have to offer. And so of course, they're just thrilled to keep reading. And so the body of the cover letter is going to have basically the argument, you know, why they should hire you. And it depends on the organization, the business, the industry of how long this will be. Okay. In education, it is very common for us to have 2-page cover letters. I have to admit, they're very long because some of the qualifications you have in the job announcement, there might be like 20 of them listed. And you have to be able to address as many as you can in that cover letter, especially the ones that are hard to see in your resume. So think about that. Things that you are like, oh, I wish I could explain this. Well, that's exactly the kind of material that you're going to want in your cover letter. So, so in that argument, and this could be a couple paragraphs, this could be one paragraph. It kind of depends, again, on the industry and how many qualifications they listed as how long that this letter is going to be. So, I mean, some are 6 paragraphs, some are 3. So in this, you need to provide examples, 100%. You can't just state that you have a particular qualification. You have to give them some kind of context. And I think this is really where the process of going through your knowledge, skills, and abilities is so helpful, because you're going to have all these different contexts for them. So by doing that process that Christine just walked you through, your cover letter is going to go so easy because you have such a sense of what you have to offer that employer. And also your interview is going to go great because those are the kind of things you're going to use in your interview also. So provide examples, provide a context to where and how you developed that skill, and numbers to demonstrate achievement when they're powerful. And I'm going to talk about that in a minute, and I'll show you some more examples on that. So, okay. Okay, so personal qualities. Personal qualities are the best thing to address in a cover letter. They are so hard to address in a resume. You know, again, we're kind of sticking to the facts. Some people will put a bunch of personal qualities in their resume. And I think if you don't have any proof behind them, then they fall really short. People just sort of comb through them in the resume and they don't have a lot of weight to them. But if you go in a cover letter and you really describe what it is, and so I just did just a 1-sentence lead in, but this candidate should go into a little more detail. You can't just say I'm hardworking, right? You say, okay, well, what's example? I worked a minimum of 20 hours a week while attending college full time. You know, I worked a minimum of 20 hours and carried a 3.8 GPA, something like that. All of a sudden, the reader's like, huh, I want to hear more. You can't just say you have strong communication skills. Give an example. This person was promoted to lead barista at Starbucks and trained new employees. Maybe even within 3 months of hiring or something. Strong leadership skills. You can talk about roles that you've taken on at school, things you've been chosen for. Maybe you're in a club. Maybe you started a club. Maybe you're in leadership at the Law and Justice Club. That'd be a good one on the resume. Okay, transferable skills. Okay, transferable skills are your way of explaining to the employer the skill that they want, how you've used them in a past job. So if you think about it, we might all say, okay, so for example, this, before I worked in education, I worked a lot of customer service jobs. I worked as a wait staff job, or that kind of jobs. But my employer hiring me might have never worked in those types of positions. They might have never been a wait staff. They have no idea what it takes. Multitasking skills. I don't know if any of you ever been a wait staff. You have to constantly multitask, constantly prioritize. And so what you want to do is you want to lay that out for the employer. Give them an example, tell them a story, explain this qualification, this skill that they're looking for, how you meet that. So, okay. So I talked about using numbers. That also includes dollar signs and percentages when effective. These can help people create very powerful bullet statements, which I'm going to cover next week. So you should tune in next week because we're going to talk about how to do that on a resume, not just create a resume explanation that says you did a job, but like how well did you do that job? How hard was it? How big was it? And sometimes numbers can tell that story. Sometimes they don't. So what you want to decide is, okay, does the number help my argument? So for example of this, I have a lot of students that have supervised in their jobs, right? And this could be even like they worked at a fast food place, they worked at Starbucks, and they ended up being like a lead trainer or a floor supervisor. And so I asked them, okay, how many people did you supervise? And they're like, 2 people. I'm like, okay, I think you could just keep it general and say you supervised employees, right? Sounds pretty good. You supervised. But sometimes I'll ask students and they're like, oh, I had this woman the other day told me she worked at Hobby Lobby and she just said she supervised employees. And I said, well, how many employees do you supervise? I don't know, like 30 or 35. Whoa, that's a huge job. 30, 35 people. And she goes, oh yeah, I did their scheduling and I did this and did that. I'm like, okay, her resume did not even begin to tell what a big job she had. It was just like, oh, supervised employees. So write out the numbers and see if it adds to the argument. Okay. So what I did is I pulled I pulled a law and justice related job. I was looking under the City of Seattle's website yesterday. So this job is still open if you're interested in applying. And it's actually a homelessness outreach for the City of Seattle, which sounds like a really fascinating position. And they had the qualifications were pretty easy to read out. So I thought, well, this is a good example. I only posted the required. I did not do the desired. The desired were longer, so it'd make for a longer letter. But I just wanted to sort of give you a little example and break down some of these to help you kind of incorporate, okay, what does it look like to look at a job announcement and then have to figure out how you're going to approach your cover letter, right? Okay, so the first one, education. This one asks for a Bachelor of Science in Social Science, Human Resources Management, Business Administration, or related field is required. Okay, law and justice majors, is your degree related to this? Would you say it's related or not? I guess I should look under chat, shouldn't I? Even if just a few of us answer. Okay, or you could just vaguely like say in your mind whether think about it. Okay, survey says yes, it is absolutely related, and this confuses people. A lot of people look at this and they'll say, come to me and they'll say, wow, I was super fascinated with this, but I didn't, they can't list every major in the world there. I mean, they really can't. Otherwise, the job announcement is going to go on for, pages. So they want to give you some general ideas And social sciences, human and business, absolutely. Those are very related to what you learn in law and justice. So, and somewhat, I'd say even more, a lot of the things that you learn in law and justice, applies more to being a homelessness outreach coordinator. Okay, the second part, it says, or combination education or training or experience which provides an equivalent background required to perform the work of the class. The work of the class. Okay, that's kind of confusing. Okay, what they're basically saying though, say you're third year student and you have some of the work experience that pertains. Do you apply or do you not apply? I would say apply, absolutely. What they're saying is that they are not requiring you to have a degree, that they're willing to take up some of your work experience. Now, if you just had the degree, or you say you hadn't graduated yet, but you had no related work experience or training, that makes it a little bit harder, right, to reach. But if you look in and say, hey, I have done some similar work, then absolutely, they probably would hire a student, somebody working on that degree. Okay. The experience they're looking for, 3 years, project management experience in social work, human services, homelessness, public policy, or other related fields. Okay. This can also be volunteer work. This can be internships. Again, some people get scared off by looking at this and saying like, wait, 3 years after I graduate? No, that's not what that means. This could have been while you were in school. This could have been before you went back to school. This could have been if you did a couple internships. Those start to add up towards years of experience, or even a long-term volunteer. Maybe you spent 8 years working with an organization that works with homelessness. They are going to take that into account. So 1 year of supervisory experience and demonstrated commitment to the highest level of ethics and integrity, committed to race and social justice. Okay, so the experience, what you want to do, that would probably be a paragraph and describing how your experience meets the duties of this job and when you have done something similar, right? You'd also want to talk about your supervisory experience in this cover letter. Not just say, yeah, I've been a supervisor, but you want to say a sentence or two about where the context was, maybe how many people you supervised. Okay, and then the last two are a little bit more on those qualitative pieces that I talked about. Those two are really hard to prove on a resume, right? I mean, you could show that you've been in committees, you can show that you have worked with organizations, or even maybe did some academic projects or research that relates to those things. But in a cover letter, it really allows you to directly talk about and say, this is what I've done that is similar, or this is ways that I've showed ethics and integrity. I had actually working with a student yesterday, they had to talk about a similar job qualification in their cover letter. And she's like, I haven't done anything like this. And then we look back and she had worked in financial aid, but while she was in school. So, just as like her school job, she had worked in the office. Well, anytime you were working around financial documents, you of course have to, or working with students, all that information is confidential. So any of that would apply. So that gives you an idea of sort of when I approach a cover letter, I'm looking for the sort of the job announcement and the education experience is to be my outline for writing. And so it's really helpful. Again, like when you meet with me or Steve or any of the counselors, I will take you wherever you are in the process. Some people just come and say, I have no idea what I'm doing with this cover letter. Help me. I'm like, okay, great. Let's start brainstorming. But if you're starting to get to a specific cover letter you want to write, it's really helpful if you send me the job link. And if you set it ahead of time, I'll even read through it and comb through it and write down some ideas. And that saves you a lot of time too, because that means you come to the appointment and I really understand what you're applying for, and I can help you craft a letter in a more specific way. So it's always helpful to have that as your job guide. Okay. Then your closing paragraph or sentence should encourage action. And okay, this is not an essay. You don't have to repeat everything you've already written. You can assume that like it's short enough that they obtained all the information they need to, no repeating. It's more just like, what's the next step? You hope to talk to them in an interview. If you have contact or a contact number, you might call for, you might follow up and call and see if they're interviewing yet. So it's just basically the closing is a call to action and, a thank you, a sincerely, and your signature. So at the end of it, after you've written your cover letter, you really want to go back to that job announcement as your guide and figure out how many qualifications have I addressed, and have I also came up with examples of each of these qualifications. And I think that will answer your question with the cover letter. The other part I would say is, I've had students say, oh, it's so boring, writing my cover letter. Well, that's terrible, because if you're bored writing it, they're going to be bored reading it. So it does really need to reflect things about you, and of course, things that are relevant. Needs to be things about you professionally. If they're personal, then it needs to have, relevant to why you applied, or the skills that you need in that job, etc. So, okay, what questions do you have for me? I'm going to stop the share so I can see all your lovely faces and pictures. Okay.
Meredith, before they present questions,
Yeah.
things that I always tell them is make sure that they proof it very, very carefully. That's something that they can have us career counselors do, or a faculty member. But one of the things I've found that is really helpful, and I know you probably do the same thing, is and even for the content, read the letter out loud to yourself, because you know what you're trying to write and you think you know what it says. But if you read it out loud to yourself carefully, you will hear exactly what it's going to sound like to somebody else who's reading this. And sometimes you can catch some real clumsy sentences and all that kind of thing. So that's just something that I've been listening. Everything you've said is just great. I'm even learning some stuff, and so I just wanted to put that out there, because that's really important.
That's great. What I noticed, the way that the writing tutors teach people writing is they have them read the paper out loud to the tutor. And a lot of times when I watched the session, I once got to sit down, watch a couple of sessions, and immediately the student that had written it, they said, oh, wow, that doesn't sound right. So they caught their own, that something about when saying it quiet, you can't catch those edits, right? It sounds fine in your head, but out loud, it really changes things. Yeah, thank you, Steve. Any other questions? You can put them in chat too, if you want.
I have one.
Yeah.
Oh God, this sounds terrible. I'm older, and I worked at Boeing for 27 years, was hurt and retired or whatever. Anyway, and then now I've gone back to school, and I want to become a victim's advocate.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't have, the only job I've had is basically drilling and filling. That's what I call it. I drilled holes and filled it with rivets or screws or whatever. It has absolutely nothing for what I'm going to. I worked by myself. It's just one of those things. But I've got a lot of personal things that have happened, which is why I want to go this way. So if you don't have really job skills as far as what I'm going into, but you got personal experience, is it still okay to write that?
Yeah, this is a great question, Donna. And funny enough, I was 100% going over this with one of my clients yesterday, because she had some information that's hard to talk about at times, but it's information that to the employer would make sense why they're applying for the job. So what we sorted out together is figuring out how to explain that you have personal experience in such a way that doesn't, that you still feel safe. You know, you say, okay, do I feel safe with an employer knowing this information? You know, and how is this information relevant? You know, you really have to make sure that the information is relevant. And so it takes a bit to craft a statement, but I think you could do it. I mean, I've seen students do it and quite well without feeling like they told, we'll just say, too much, right? Like you have to walk the line of saying like, okay, this is why I'm so passionate about this. But at the same time, you don't want to make yourself so vulnerable, right? You want to be in a spot where you're like, okay, I feel safe with the information I gave them. I feel really good about this, but I didn't give them so much information that it is, puts me in a bad spot. You might run across your story with somebody. I have done this with clients several times before, where when I read something, I said, that's amazing, but that can't be written on a cover letter. Let's try, how about this part of it works? This part doesn't. So I would sit down after you write your statement. I would sit down with a couple people, run it by a couple people that you really trust and say, how does this sound to an employer? Is this information that you think that they need to know, but will also not keep me from the job also, right? Because sometimes people say, wow, they're so close to this. I think they would have a hard time doing this job.
Well, or looking, if you look at all the little things, it's like, oh my goodness, she must have been some kind of a druggie on the street, or, something where it's not that way at all. But if you just take every little thing that I've been through, it makes it sound like I'm really this awful person that attracts all this heartache. But I'm 62, so really everything I've gone through, it's not all that much. And when you think it's been 50 years.
Well, yeah. Well, I think it's just a matter of being able to explain to it why it makes you good, why it's going to make you a good victim advocate, right? What is it about those experiences that is going to make you good at it? And the second thing I would say is that right now, if you could be just even spending 3 or 5 hours a week doing something similar for volunteer, it makes such a huge difference. Whether it's like,
I've got 6 classes this quarter, so I'm really just, I don't have time. I'm trying to graduate by fall. It looks like I will be able to graduate by fall with a triple degree.
Okay, well, it's just a suggestion, and we can always work together in the future. So
yeah. Oh no, we will. We will.
And also, I would just add there too, don't forget, Donna, you can count your academic experience, and some of those victim advocacy jobs are through the state, are through the federal government, and are through counties, county government as well. So your academic experience will certainly count for that.
Oh yes, and it's been, all the different classes you mean? Oh yeah, I've had some awesome classes that have just like, wow. My life wasn't so bad compared to some of the stories I've heard. So,
So, Donna,
Meredith, thanks for your question. Oh, okay.
I was just going to add really quickly, that like what Meredith was saying, personal experience really gives you a lot. You think of all the substance abuse counselors who actually go into working with people in substance abuse. They get the education, they've had that personal experience, they've overcome it, so they really have a personal understanding of that. And that's the tricky part, is trying to get that across in your message. And that's where Meredith and myself might be able to help you do that.
Yeah, well, that's what I figure, is that if you've been through this stuff, it's easier for you to not be judgmental than someone going through it at the time. A lot of, through the different talking with different people, you tell them something and they like, well, I don't know, how come you got put in that situation? It's your fault. In fact, one place it was the women I worked with, well, it's your fault you built this way. It's like, no, it's not. So yeah, it's easier to understand if you've been in the position before.
Yeah, definitely. So we have 6 more minutes left. Does anybody else have any other questions they can think of about the cover letter? No. Okay, well, I guess we can just move on to the next agenda item. I think we're talking about, Christine's going to talk about professional mission statement. Unless, is Veronica going to speak? I'm not too sure which is.
Right. So we moved her so we weren't late, Meredy, in case, yes. So because we were running very late because we were very interested in listening to the law enforcement officer. So yes, you're correct. So Veronica is up next.
Thanks.
Hi, thank you, Christine. Well, I am here to share with you my experience to apply for internship. And yesterday, I just applied for a job because I will graduate in spring. So I want to start applying for jobs. So a year ago, I started applying for my internship, and I didn't know the COVID, it will come in, but it was great thing that I listened Christine to start applying as soon as I can. And I was able to do my internship over the summer in a nonprofit organization. So then this last Monday, the people who I work with, they emailed me a job position that is in the place where I did my internship. So I applied yesterday for this is a case, it's a social worker job. So I want to share with you what I did following the Christine's suggestions for my skills and abilities. So when I saw the job description, I say, oh my gosh, I will not be able to apply for this job. But I start collecting, and also one thing that I did, and I don't want to forget to share with you, please make a list from your assignments that you do for every single class. You never know when you are going to need it. So, and it's hard to remember when you are doing your cover letter or updating your resume. And also when I did my internship, every day I was writing a list, the task they assigned me to work on. So those lists help me to update my resume and work on my cover letter. So I'm going to share with you my, Christine, I can share, I think.
You should be able to share, yes. You can't share?
No.
No, I'm gonna make Veronica the co-host to just give.
Okay, that's awesome.
Just
Yeah.
a second. Yeah, and that way she,
Yeah.
yeah. I meant to offer that earlier, but
that's okay. So while she's doing that too, we should say that Veronica has been through this process. You should be all set now. Been through this process with applying for the internship and also applying for scholarship, and now also applying for a job. So she has, and my guess is because she did her internship here and they're seeking her, she's probably going to go ahead and probably land that too. So she got a scholarship, she got the internship, and now she's probably going to get this job. So yes, and I see you're sharing, so I'm going to mute myself and be quiet.
Thank you. So, and also one thing that a person who worked in this organization where I did my internship suggests me to add my GPA, because since I am a student and I'm graduating, so it's good to have this. And all the academic achievements that have been done. So I also recipient of scholarships, and that the work I'm doing now is I am the vice president of the Law and Justice Club, and I add all the work that I am doing for the club, and also I add all the courses that that I already had, and then the ones that I have in this quarter. And my skills, so the CTC trainings that we had to take for our classes, and I have a paralegal certificate. So, and also my computer skills too, so I added them. And the written and oral communication, so it's hard for me, but I'm improving every day. So I did some presentation, speeches, and the interviews that we had to done on Christine's classes, my discussion boards, group projects. I'm doing advising for my work that I'm working now on, and I speak Spanish and a little bit of English. So, and then, so this is my job, the job that I'm doing. This is my part-time job. So in here, I had to update it for this job because this job is related to immigrants. So I have to add the work that I'm doing with DACA students and people from different backgrounds. So to be able to match their qualifications. So this is my the job that I'm doing. And this is the internship that I did over the summer. I had to erase.
Yes, she took the name out for reasons, just so everyone knows, okay?
And so, and then I had to add the work that I did with them. And I had to delete some of the work that I did. And also my work, my past work that also help students who speak other language like Spanish. So I provide them some support to be able to register for classes and find other resources in the campus and the community. So which is one of the job qualifications for this job. And then I am going to share with you the job qualifications. So this is the things that I would like to share with you. So I add all my academic projects that I have done in my classes. So my from my ethics class, the interview that I did to an officer, another interview that I did to a judge. So these were for our Law and Justice Club. So I add all the work that I did, how I did my interview. And also this class, the domestic violence, was related to the job qualification. So I did what I did for my class, like a job shadowing, the King County courthouse, what I did in this day when I went there to do it's like a field research. And also I did some observation in the Superior Court for domestic violence cases. So, and I did a research too. So, and it was related to this job, the one that I am applying for. So, and also, this is the job that I did for a nonprofit. This is a speech that I did in the past. And the research that I work on and presented to my class. And also I add a speech because I was able to talk to the Washington State Governor and the Washington State Board of Education. So I add the topics that I cover. And I add the last part is my volunteer job because it's related to the job that the qualification. So I empowering people to get their education and to support them how to go to college and apply for financial aid. And all these things that I'm doing now. So, and the job qualifications are, it's hard. Okay.
Sometimes it's easier to stop sharing and then share again. I know it's weird with different documents.
So those are the jobs. No sé, do you see the jobs qualifications?
No, we still see your resume, Veronica. There
Okay.
you go. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, now. Okay. So this is the job qualifications. So they require experience working with children and families. And this is this person has to speak English and Spanish. And oh, sorry, I am not really good with this, so I have to practice. Sorry. So experience working with immigrant population. So it is why I add the job that I'm doing at my present job and my volunteer job too. And also is related to the job that I did for my internship. So, and I have also knowledge for community social services. So you can see all the qualification, and I am going to share with you also
Veronica, were there any qualifications on the job that you could not do? So when you did your 1, 2s, and 3s, did you have any 3s?
Yeah, so there were some that I thought, well, I cannot meet this qualification. So I tried to just relate it to my classes and my research assignments that I did for your classes and my other classes as well. So here, like.
So you didn't have any 3s. So there was you were able to account for 1 and 2s. You didn't have any 3s?
I don't think so. Probably they were, but
I don't think you did.
No. So here is what I add on my cover letter. So I just want to highlight this part from my cover letter because I was able to add and stated my assignments and my courses to the job, the requirements. So as you see, I added my research, evaluation, and presentation. Highlight specific needs, obstacles, and problems facing by the immigrants, women, children, and minorities. So I add this because it's part of the job requirement too. And here are all listed all my classes too. So Christine, do you want me to share my cover letter too?
Sure, if you're comfortable. Did you take all stuff off that shouldn't be there, like names and everything?
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
I think that would be helpful.
Okay, let me then share. I just don't want to sound repetitive, but in here.
Veronica, can you make that a little bit bigger down there at the bottom? Give us like about 120, 125. There, that
Like
looks
that?
good. Yeah,
Okay.
Thank you.
So this is my cover letter. So I have to change some stuff. And so
how did you develop your cover letter, Veronica?
Okay, first I start presenting myself, like I'm excited to apply for this job and I am ready to work for them. And also I told them that I enjoyed the time that I work with them for my my internship. And also I want to mention you something. So when Dakota was talking about the statement, before I had my interview and also before I applied for this internship, I had to read what they are doing, what their job and the statement. And because this nonprofit organization have different things to work on, different issues, community, social issues. So I have to read and be familiar with the job that I was applying for. And then in my interview, I didn't have questions for them, but I shared that I was so excited to hear that there is an organization to take care of these social issues. And then while I have this conversation, I got questions, and this person really liked my questions. And then I thought probably because of COVID, they will not call me, and they did. So I really like and enjoy those days. So, and then after I introduce myself, I say what I did for my internship with them. And then that I get knowledge, what they do, how they support the community, and how that I really like their job. So, and then I show them.
Also, Veronica, you also related that internship and that skills and abilities to the qualifications of the job description, right?
Yes. So I have to let them know that I really get experience from them. And this experience will help me to do my job with them in case they offer it the job. So, and then next I have to add the job that I'm doing now. So I have a part-time job in Edmonds College, and what is my job. But also I stated like I'm working with this Latinx family, and I also support DACA students, which is related to this job, the job that I apply for. And also when I mentioned some of my assignments that I did for other classes, so I explain it here. I try to develop a little bit more what I discuss on my research. Sorry, I'm not able to see everything because I have the Zoom in front of me.
That's okay. You can drop and drag that off to the side too. You can put
Yeah.
it at the bottom.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. And so also I relate my job and my classes again in here, stating like immigration issues, and I mentioned that this is like, let's say this is the nonprofit organization that I applied for this job, so I've just added there. And what I'm doing as a vice president in the Law and Justice Club, how it's helping me to develop more skills and be more familiar with some social issues. And
while taking those self-starter, excellent problem-solving skills and prioritizing duties straight out of the job description and saying, making yours quantifiable, yes.
Yeah, thank you, Christy. So, and also I had to say about my academic working environment, so how they help me to be more professional and be more qualified for this job position. And so I had to say that I'm speak Spanish and English, and that's it. And Okay. And
Sorry about that. I was on mute. I want to ask, does anybody have any questions for Veronica about the steps that she took, right? So she's about ready to be successful. She got a major scholarship based on this procedure that she's doing. And she got the internship based on this procedure. And now she's about ready to be hired. Ask Veronica some questions here because it will really, really help to understand the steps. But all along the way, what Veronica was communicating is that everything that she did in that cover letter and that resume and building her professional mission statement was based directly off that job description. And I know some of it seems kind of funky, but she needed to take some stuff out for the protection of some clients and for the protection of the nonprofit based on what she's doing. So yeah, please ask her some questions here.
Christine, before they pop in with the questions, I have an observation. Veronica, you did a tremendous amount of work. It's just like what Christine had said in the very beginning, at least when I popped in today, is that it takes a tremendous amount of work. And you looked almost exhausted by sharing all the things you went through. And so I just wanted to commend you for such a terrific job and being able to share that, because it does show how much time and energy and work goes into developing these resumes and applications and the information that you need to be successful. So I want to commend you on that and just make everybody else appreciate that as well.
Thank you. Well, I thought when I started at Central a year ago that I have my resume ready. But when I start looking for internships, so I say, well, this resume will not give me anything. So Christine was helping me to update the resume and my cover letter. So since a year ago, I started working on this and create my skills, abilities, my personal value statement, my professional mission statement, and it's not just one day. It's a lot of time. And just even apply for one job, it took me a day, I think so.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
Congratulations.
She might still be exhausted, Steve, because she just finished up her job application today.
Yeah.
I think there was a question. Vicki, did you have a question?
No, I just wanted to congratulate you, Veronica. You know, you go, girl.
Thank you, Vicki. I miss you.
I miss you too. Well, hopefully we'll see each other again in the near future, you and all the rest of the gals and the guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, I wish you a lot of luck. You deserve it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. So anybody has a question? No?
All right, Veronica, thank you so much. Yes, she does look tired. Veronica, you okay? Do you need some coffee?
Yeah, probably.
Could you talk to the group that's left here, Veronica, maybe just a little bit real quickly, and then I'll get back to writing that online profile and what to do there. But because we're going to wait for Isaiah, who's going to pop on, who did the FBI and landed an internship at the Washington State legislature's internship. And he, much like Veronica and Lena and all the others that talked today, spent a significant amount of time. So we have a little bit of time here, Veronica. Could you talk to the group about, you started to mention a little bit about what you originally started with, and then I'll be leaving. Thank you. You're absolutely welcome, Sophie. Take care. Have a wonderful evening. Be well. So talk to the group a little bit, if you would, Veronica, about what you started with. And even we found out that what we started with wasn't even going to be enough to apply for the scholarship that you were going for.
Okay, so about the scholarship, just so yeah, a year ago, just I started to apply for a scholarship. So, and I have to read the requirements they have, and I have to compare them with my experience, my personal experience in my classes, also what I have done already, like my paralegal certificate, my transfer, and the obstacles that I was facing too, and why I need this scholarship, and how I going to, like if I was awarded with the scholarship, how I going to give back to the community. So by be a better student, and also that I promise that I'm going to try my best to reach my 4.0, and that I'm going to do, I'm going to give back to the community what they are providing me. And then all the things that I achieved before, so, and I added to the scholarship, I took from there to add it to my also cover letter and my resume. And when I apply and I have to fill up some questions on the scholarship, I also add my classes that I already done, my volunteer job, my internship, and a lot of personal things that I am supporting other people on the community. And I just prefer not share with this, but share that, but I also support people who are facing other social issues. So
absolutely. Yes. So we started out with basically a bare bones kind of resume, and had to totally reformat everything, totally rewrite, write her personal mission statement, do those skills that were important. We had to do a little planning too, thinking about what do we want to do in the future. And so this got her that scholarship at internship, and yes, numerous hours have been spent. So this is a process that I believe Lena said something like maybe work on it a couple of hours a day, because it doesn't just happen, right? And those that are in my 489 class, you're gonna leave that class with a professional portfolio. Okay, so learning how to do this and learning from others that have gone through this is really going to benefit you in the long run for that final project that you're doing in the class. I want to just pause for a moment, because some of us have been here for quite a while, and maybe just do a little stretch and just say hi. And I want to ask Vicky, Jasmine, Veronica, Abby, Jennifer, Austin, Donna, Jose, Amanda, Caleb, Bryson, Adrian, Blake, Lupe, America, good evening, Arve, Ashley, Laura, and Susie. We've been here for a bit. How's this going here? Is this helping? Is it prompting thought for you? And if you're someplace where you can't speak or turn on video, not a worry. Use that chat. Let's talk about so much info. I love it. Yeah. Let's talk about some takeaway here before Isaiah gets here, and we listen again a little bit how to do this. What's some takeaway you have here? Yeah, go ahead, Susie.
Very valuable information that, I mean, I've been in 50 plus some years, and very good information, because I've never really had to put myself out there, apply for scholarships or internships or things like that. Kind of mostly, I didn't really have to work that hard to get where I was. So very valuable information, and I'm looking forward to working on my cover letter. I mean, I have a resume and cover letter kind of, but it needs to be tweaked. But yeah, this is a great workshop. I'm glad that we have it. And thank you for sharing, Veronica.
Thank you, Susie. So I want to share something with you too. So last year, I'm not sure who was there, but also Christine and Meredith have the same workshop, and we were just a few students, and I learned a lot. So the things that Christine and Meredith share with us, so I take it with me. So I was thinking about how to do my cover letter, my resume. So I started bothering Christine a lot because to me it was really hard to update my resume. So everything that you hear tonight, try to not forget and start using and working as soon as you can, because the time's going so fast. And then sometimes you never know when there is an internship opportunity, and then you have to apply right away. So you have to be ready, or even for a job. Like that happened to me. I wasn't ready to apply, and I wasn't expecting to have a job to apply for. So and I wasn't ready yet. So please try to work on your cover letter and resume.
And that knowledge, skills, and ability statement. So I'm going to share some, your classmates said fantastic info, very useful information for the future, for sure. So we have another student here, Amanda. It's a lot of info to take in, but it's so important. So Amanda, where are you? Did she leave? She just typed in the thing. Amanda? She's gone. Okay, so she typed, she is going through this process herself right now. And so let's see, trying to figure out what information to use from past jobs, volunteer work is already giving me a headache. Oh, I know, it's a hard process, right? So that's why we're suggesting spend that time, maybe, 30 minutes a day, whatever you have. I know a lot of us are pressed for time right now, and there's not much extra, but whatever you can do up front will really be helpful while you take it and you're ready, when you're ready to apply for, grad school, law school, scholarship, whatever it is. So a takeaway I can take is the amount of effort a job application truly takes and everything in between. Yes, if that's not the truest statement I haven't heard from the evening, I don't know what is. So super useful information, a ton to take in, but love the advice. You're welcome. This is good. I love the nice info. Great job, Veronica. And let's see, it has been really helpful. I definitely realized that working on a resume cover page is a lot of work, but really helpful. Yes, it is. You can't, this is not something you can whip out in an hour. It just won't work. It just is not going to work. So this is very helpful, and I feel lost in this aspect. Thanks for sharing. Yes, you're welcome. And remember, Career Services is there to help for those that, guide along the way. We'll review, bounce ideas, talk, so keep working at it. And things don't have to be perfect for Career Services, right? Part of what Career Services and faculty and others do for that review is to keep getting you and honing that in until somebody says, oh, that looks good. So lots of good information. All of the jobs I've had in the past have gotten from knowing someone already or working for the company. I'm starting to look at the bigger opportunities. So these tips are great for creating a professional portfolio to really market myself. Absolutely. So I'm glad that worked and was helpful. And I'm moving the screen here. So I'm here. Oh, Amanda, you're back. And so another comment, I'm ready to apply to a job. Excellent. I like it. So that's what I want to hear. Amanda, you're here. Hey, Amanda, can you talk about a little bit, and Isaiah's here, so we'll be able to get started. Amanda, if you would share a little bit about your experience there with the FBI too, and learning what you've learned here so far.
Yeah. Can you guys all hear me?
We
Okay.
can. Hi, Amanda.
So I'm like right in the beginning of the process, so I'm not like super in depth with it, but what I've noticed so far for me is that everything that I'm doing now at like my job in retail is I'm like trying to figure out like, oh, how could this situation apply to an FBI resume? I'm literally just living and breathing the FBI right now, to a point where it's like annoying all of my friends and family, where I'm like, oh, well, you know, this situation, like if I was in the FBI, like we could do something like this. And it's like, my friend's like, you need to shut up. But it's definitely a lot of work. It's something that like, you just have to, in the beginning, like, you know, you have to really just live it, breathe it. But, you know, at the end of the day, it's all going to be worth it because we're all here because we're looking for our careers, something that we're going to be in this long term. So 6 months to a year of work is nothing compared to 50 plus years in an organization.
And Amanda, where did you start? How did you start? What's the process you went through? What did you do? How do you know about the FBI?
The website. You look at those mission statements, you read job descriptions, you look at what they're qualifying for each job, and you apply that to yourself. Whether it's, you know, you're good with people because you've worked in retail and you know how to interact with customers on a daily, or you're really good at problem solving because you're working on a whole new system and you're just all trying to troubleshoot it together and figure out how to make it work. You start applying that to what you've done and what you're going to do. But it's just starting at the basics, just look at what they want and figure out where you check that box and where you don't.
And you're at what process now? You're at that 8-sentence paragraph. Is that where you're at right now, Amanda?
Yeah, that little 8-sentence paragraph that feels like it's way too short and you don't know how to cram all the information into those 8 sentences.
Yes, it teaches you how to look at that job description and know yourself quite well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And the
sure.
mission of the FBI. Absolutely. Thank you, Amanda.
Of course.
Yeah. Isaiah, good evening.
Hi, good evening.
How you doing, Isaiah? We've got a small group left here. We've all been connected here for a while, but I'll tell you.
Yeah, I saw.
Yeah.
2:30, right?
Yes, I hope you had a great day, Isaiah, and thank you for popping on after you got off work. Share your experience, once again, FBI and Washington State, how you did it, because you did it.
So, in a way, you gotta take all the information you got about yourself and you just gotta sell it. You know, like a used car salesman trying to scam an old lady, except this old lady is the federal government. You gotta take whatever small bits and pieces that's positive and you just gotta kind of expand it out of proportion. So for me, I worked a few jobs before I applied for the FBI for Washington State Legislative, so I had some stuff to work with. But even then, I still had to expand a lot. And so for the knowledge, skills, and abilities, some things that I guess some tips that would be helpful for you guys is that taking the mission statement and taking the things that the FBI wants from you or whatever other internship that you're trying to apply for wants from you, and then breaking that down into separate pieces and connecting that with what you already know, like what you have in your resume. and trying to fit as much as you can. And this is where the whole like expanding part goes into, where you gotta really stretch out sometimes to really connect it, because what they're looking for is those specific kind of terms, you know, like, oh, I can do investigation or whatnot. And because you know, they get thousands of applications, they sift it through a machine, and the machine looks for those kind of key terms or looks for those skills that they need. And so I guess I can show you guys my outline for knowledge, skills, and abilities. It's a mess, but it might help you guys out with trying to do it. Is that okay if I share my screen?
Absolutely. Oh, let's see. Steve or Meredy? Well, let's see. Let's see. I think Meredy might be gone. I wonder if I can make you co-host. I don't know if I can. Let me try here. Allow participants to share screen. There, go for it.
Okay, cool. So I'm gonna share my screen here. Let's see. Here we go. All right, so can y'all see this? So here's an outline of the objective statement, and this is helpful to go through. So you read through the major functions like you would normally before you apply for any job. You underline what's work experience, what's academic experience, to kind of organize it out. And then when you do that, you place a number. It'd be good to place a number down. So 1 is something that you really can do, and then 2 is something that you kind of have experience for, and then 3 is something that you don't have experience for at all. So as you can see here, there's a lot of 3s, because what they're looking for is, you know, a lot of like, have you done conduct counterintelligence activities and coordinate counterintelligence activities of other agencies? No, you know, or but you know, there's some things like investigate violations of laws of the United States and collect evidence in cases in which the United States is or may be in party interest. So I put a 2 there because maybe I can kind of relate, you know, gathering evidence for our law and justice classes for writing, and because those skills are somewhat compatible with what this is looking for. So then you get all this and then all these points, and you kind of chuck them all up together to make the actual objective statement, and then this will break it down in each step. So you start off the mission statement to repeat the mission, to make sure to tell the FBI or whoever you're going for that you know what they want, that you know what they stand for. And then you go into the different skills that they want. So then let's just do an example for the second step. You know, summarize your skills as relates to the candidate skills listed below. Also relate to the same sentence, 1 or 2 important words. So here's our candidate skills here. So they want strong analytical thinking abilities, flexibility and adaptability, et cetera, et cetera. So here for our people skills, you would take your resume and then you would put that, you take those skills and then that's where you stretch it out and you try to connect these skills that they're looking for with what you got in your resume or job experience or academic experience. So here for people skills, I wrote down, you know, working as security guard, I have strong interpersonal skills, good writing or skills to write reports by gathering information from witnesses and detailed incident reports by using computer logs. Additionally, I write a comprehensive report on the incidents employees face while on the job. You know, something like that. You go through each one of the skills that they want. Some of them are going to be a lot harder than others. Trust me, you're going to be sitting down for a couple of days at some points thinking about it, but it's good to be patient and it's good to really think about it, because you only get one shot out of 2 or 3 in the year. So it's good to make these shots count. So after you have all this, you would put all these sentences that you're making together to make your official objective statement. Then next is the cover letter, right? So I'll share a cover letter with you. You can also take these objective statements and you insert them into your cover letter, and this will help you out in the long run with your cover letter and writing it. As you can see, I wrote down, you know, I have strong leadership and group work skills that could be used productively with API, working in group from university club activities, which I talked about in my knowledge, skills, and abilities statement. So you can take parts of that statement and you can throw them into your cover letter, because they won't know any better. Because like I said, rope machines going through everything. So they're just looking for these keywords of leadership skills, group work skills, communication skills. And then, in your cover letter, you might talk about the things that you're looking for to improve on. So that's where those number 3s come in, where, I don't know anything about investigating. That's where, you can talk about, how you want to improve your investigative skills by working in there, or improve any other skills that you don't have really developed. So that's mostly about it for what I got from Christine. So
hey, I didn't realize I was not muted there, and I'm shuffling papers. I'm so sorry about that, Isaiah. Isaiah, could you give those that are still here an estimate of time that you spent? So you landed Washington State, right? The legislative internship, right?
Yeah.
How much time did you put into that? After you had created your FBI knowledge, skills, and abilities statement, the application, the resume, the cover letter, everything you did for the FBI. How long did it take you to do the Washington State, and how long did it originally take you for the FBI?
I'd say the FBI took me about a week. And then for Washington State, it took me about 2 days, because I don't know, I'm really good at pulling information and really skewing it. So that was pretty easy for me to just take it and then just make it work.
Right. So you followed the same procedure, though, essentially. So once you had that knowledge, skills, and abilities statement, it was easy to modify a cover letter. It was easy to follow that same procedure, saying, okay, Washington is looking for this, they're looking for this, and you already had it written out. So it was easy to modify a bit. So the upfront was about a week, and then it might have been a little bit more than a week. Well, we were meeting at least an hour a week.
Yeah.
But
definitely the Washington legislative took way less, because something I think about is that when you get all of this done is that when you're applying for multiple internships, within those couple of days, unless you learn a new skill, nothing's really going to change with the information that you have. So it's really easy to take that information, since you already have it out already on paper, and then just writing down a few sentences differently just to fit it in with what those skills that specific internship or job needs. So that's something to keep in mind and make your life a lot easier.
Isaiah, they weren't able to see your cover letter. Could you share your cover letter? Yeah.
Oh man, all right, okay. I'll share it.
That's okay.
Here you go. So I know you guys don't really care about the top part or the bottom part, so here's like the main middle area that you guys can all read if you want.
Isaiah, could you give us down there at the 100%? Could you give us about 125, maybe 140?
Yeah, sure. There you go. Oh, you want it zoomed in more? Or you want?
Yeah, bigger, not smaller.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. So and scroll a little bit there. Started out with Isaiah started out with its great enthusiasm. You'll notice that one of the first things is a part of the mission statement there, right, Isaiah? Walk them through your letter there.
Oh boy. All right, here we go. So the first paragraph of my letter is that I talk about the mission statement first. I just say that, I'm happy to apply for this, just tell them all the good stuff that they want to hear. And then I give them kind of a personal story, the reason, the big chunk of my passion of why I want to join and what I want to do. Provide some personality to yourself. Gives a little bit of, maybe garner some empathy from them. I talk about drug trafficking, human trafficking, and for me personally, I want to stop that. So that's why I want to join that. Then for our second paragraph, I go into their priorities of what kind of skills that they want.
Right, Isaiah, though human trafficking is one of their priorities too, right?
Yeah, but I
Yes.
mean, for skills is the second paragraph basically. So I would say for the honors internship program, it's a priority to have interpersonal writing and verbal skills. And then this is where I bring in my work experience or club experience, school experience. Being a security guard, I developed strong interpersonal skills, writing verbal skills, using computer logs. Exactly the same words I took from my objective statement, if you remember me talking about that before. In our third paragraph, I talk about more skills that they want, because in the cover letter, you just want to list down, just knock down every single like prioritized skill that they want. So like talk about here, having strong leadership and group work skills that can be used within the department, working in a group for union and diversity club activities, working with their members and having strong communication skills and then completing club goals and missions the group creates. And then I talk more about my position and what I do in the club. And then I talk about looking at their qualifications. I would feel like it's a good fit for the team as I satisfy a lot of their requirements. And then just a little paragraph at the end saying, I look forward to an opportunity to talk to you guys, and I hope I can provide something to the table, and thank you for your time. So you're basically just really selling yourself here, and you're trying to really, really kind of beg, like, hey, let me in, and here's all the stuff I got, take it, do what you want,
It looks simple once it's in this nice, pretty little form, but talk a little, Isaiah. It's really not all that simple, is it?
It's hard to put everything together to make it cohesive because, like I said, you're taking a lot of the sentences out of the objective statement, because your objective statement basically makes your outline also for this cover letter, and putting it together and trying to make it make sense, because you're going to be writing it down and trying to connect each sentence together is going to be kind of hard to think about, and also trying to really sell yourself as best as you can too. It's going to be kind of difficult because I feel like for me personally, there wasn't a lot of opportunities in my life where I needed to sell myself so much. So that was a challenge for me to really think in that way.
Yes, and Isaiah, one last thing, could you talk with the group about how it made it so much easier to have this portfolio stuff done, that knowledge, skills, and abilities statement, that cover letter, that resume, tight and honed to that job description. And when you finally got, excuse me, to that USA Jobs to fill out the application, how it was useful and how it wasn't useful, or if it was used, or if it was or wasn't. Could you share why it's really important to be sure that you've got this stuff done before you go popping on and creating your profile at, whether, doesn't matter which online profile, but could you share a little bit about that too, Isaiah?
Yeah, sure. So when you're making online profiles for different companies or for different internship opportunities, your cover letter is important because since nowadays we're all living behind our computers, they accept everything in electronic format. So they want those things in a document already. So when you have all these done, you can just keep sending them over. And if it's a different job, you can just change a little bit things in there and then just send it, and makes it really easy and really fast, the process of making those profiles. Because I know those profiles suck to make, so I've been there and I made a bunch of them and I'm still making them. So I'm not done, and you guys probably won't be done either until you get an internship or a job that you really want. But it also really helpful too, because with the knowledge, skills, and abilities statement, if you have that written down in a document, some of these online sites, they actually ask for, they have fill in the blank boxes, and they actually ask you for, how do you fill out this requirement in a sense, and then you would copy and paste. You can just copy and paste the sentence into there, like give us an example of what shows leadership, and then you can just copy and paste, and that's done. and you don't have to just sit there and think about it. Don't have to waste your time on the computer screen anymore. So that's a way that's really helpful. Some sites though, they don't require knowledge, skills, and abilities. It's just a resume sometimes. So it depends on what site you're going to and what organizations you're applying for. But overall, it's been pretty helpful.
It would have taken forever if you didn't have this, right? You wouldn't have gotten through the application, right?
Yeah, the hard part was already done.
Yes, yeah. And the last thing you want to do is make an error on that website, right? And you don't, because that's where they're pulling from, right?
Yeah,
so,
yeah. Especially that too. I almost forgot. That's one of the most important parts. Don't screw up anything, because if you make a typo or something and the computer catches that, you're done. You're kicked out basically, because it's really picky. And because basically the computer that molds through the sites is basically just sifting through everything. And if you got something that catches through the cracks, then you're just gone. So you gotta really make sure that you input everything correctly, you're doing everything correctly. So that's why it's also good to have these things done beforehand, so then you're not nervous or worried while you're there on the site and having to think about it so much while you're there. You can just have a more of the ease of mind when you're applying for those kind of things. Because trust me, it's going to be stressful already. I already had enough stress, inputting all these different things. They want to know, where you've lived in the last 15 years or something, and I've only been alive for 20. So they got a lot of hard questions like that, and they want to know a lot of information from you. So having these things done beforehand would really help you out.
Isaiah, thank you so much. And I know you have another meeting coming up here shortly. So everybody would probably like to take a break too, including yourself. Isaiah, are you excited that you went through this process and it got you where you are, and what you think in the future? And then we can wrap it up if people don't have questions for you.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, yeah, the work's hard, but to be honest, if you get through it, then it'll help you out really. I'm a lazy person and I'm not very proactive, so knowing that about me, you'll probably know that I'm really fickle about doing all that stuff. But to be honest, if you're lazy, getting that stuff done in the end goal, it really helps you out, just having to throw things in there and then just being done. So I would say that it'll get hard, but just push through and it'll really help you out in the future.
Isaiah, I had a question for you. It's Vicky.
Hi, Vicky. Nice to see you again.
Yeah. Hey, I noticed that in your letter, of all your information and your of the application, you had red in there. And I remember and I was kind of curious about that, because when you did this is totally different, but when you did other applications, they just totally frowned on any color.
Yeah. So the thing that was red was my my outline for my objective statement. The reason why I had it in red was so that I can differentiate between all the words, because for me, I get kind of confused when everything's just all black. So it made it easier for me to see, like, oh, this is one of the sentences that's going to the statement. So it made it easier for me to just locate that and then copy and paste that.
Oh, okay.
It was the red.
Definitely put everything in black.
WIP, work in progress.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was just showing you guys the outline. My final objective statements all in one paragraph, all black text, all together, making sense. I just showed you the outline just to show you the process and to show you tips and tricks.
Okay. Yeah, because Veronica showed us her finished product.
Yeah.
I'm sure about yours. So, yeah. Thank you.
Okay, so Veronica, Amanda, Susie, Jasmine, Abby, Jennifer, Austin, Jose, Keila, Bryson, Adrian, Blake, America, Arbe, Laura, and Vicky and Isaiah. Do you guys have any other questions, or should we some of us have been here the entire time. I don't know about you, but my eyes are burning. Yeah. Jasmine says no, she's good. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I'm just
I'm
looking.
hungry.
I'm hungry. Adrian, are you cooking dinner? No cooking. Yeah. So thanks. No questions. Okay, I'm all good. Okay. All right. I want to thank Meredy, Steve, Lena, Veronica, Amanda, Isaiah. Who else am I missing? Who else spoke today? Somebody else spoke. So Isaiah, Meredy, Veronica, Lena, Dakota, everybody who attended. Somebody else spoke earlier today about LSAT, and I can't, who was it? Law school. Oh,
Yeah,
anyway.
she already left.
Who was, sorry, who was that?
Dakota?
No,
No.
that's
Lena.
Sydney.
Lena.
Sydney.
Oops.
Sydney.
No.
Sydney.
Oh.
Sydney. Verity's here. Verity.
Oops.
Lena, but it was Sydney.
So, Meredy, we want to thank you very, 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 very much. It's extremely helpful. So appreciate you. And all the other speakers today too. So thank you all.
Well, please reach out if any of you need help. You know where to find me. And otherwise, in 2 weeks, we're going to have part 2.
Part 2 it is, Meredy. You're always a pleasure to work with. And of course, all the students here. You make Meredy a nice day. You really do. Yep. All right.
Good night, everybody.
A good night, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.